Monday to Friday, you're locked in. You're eating healthy, you're smashing the gym, your cardio's getting done, you're absolutely flying until Friday, 5 p.m. By Sunday night, you've nailed 3 takeaways, 15 pints, and you sat there scratching your head on Sunday thinking, how the fuck did this happen again? I'm here to tell you that you're not lacking discipline, you're not broken, you're just falling into the weekend trap every single week. I've been there, trust me, I'm no angel. I was stuck in this exact same spot for years. I'd have a perfect Monday to Friday and I'd undo it in the 48 hours after that. And it's the most common client struggle that I always hear, that people just don't understand how to manage their weekends effectively while still making progress. So let me break down why it actually happens, the maths behind it, and what you can do to fix it in 4 simple steps. So let's say you're in a 500 calorie deficit every single day from Monday through Friday. That's 2,500 calories under maintenance. Perfect. You're doing everything which you need to lose body fat, and that's solid work. Saturday comes around, no alarm, you wake up late, you've got plans, you're going out for food with one of your mates, you go out for some lunch, the football's on, you have a few pints, one thing leads to another and you stumble home and you fall into your local Chinese. It doesn't take much. You go out for food in the afternoon, you have those handful of beers, you then go to get the takeaway on the way home. You wake up the next day, you're feeling a little bit sorry for yourself, you're tired, you've got no energy, you can't really be arsed cooking, another takeaway sounds like a good idea. You've easily stacked up 4,000 calories over your maintenance across the weekend, and that's just massively outweighing that 2,500 calorie deficit which you've created from Monday to Friday. Not just breaking even, you're going backwards, because the maths and the science doesn't care about how good you were Monday to Friday. Now here's the thing, because most people don't realize they're actually doing it, because you've earned it. You've been good in the week, you've been hitting everything as you should Monday through Friday, so when it comes to the weekend, you deserve a reward. Saturday, Sunday comes, it's just a free-for-all. Anything goes, any food, any drinks, it doesn't matter, because you've earned it in the week. So you just write it off. Maybe a few pints on Friday, that leads into Saturday, that leads into Sunday, and before you know it, you're back on the whole I'll start again Monday scenario. That right there is the exact weekend trap in which I'm talking about. Here's what's actually happening. You're spending Monday through Friday in restriction mode, okay? You've had a bad weekend, you're feeling sorry for yourself on a Monday morning, you think, right, okay, you know what, I need to punish myself, I need to restrict myself. So that means eating super low calories, doing loads of cardio, and almost punishing yourself for what you've done on the weekend. You're saying no to the office biscuits, you say no to the chocolate in the cupboard, you say no to meals out with friends in the week. By Friday, you're mentally drained because you've had work, you've had a lot on, you've been starving yourself, you've been doing a lot of cardio, you're fucked. So you've used up all your discipline in the week, all that willpower in the week, and your brain, being clever, goes, right, we've been good, it's time to let loose again. It's not you, because I know that you want to lose weight. It's a predictable psychological response to extreme restriction Monday through Friday. I went through this for years thinking, why can I not just stop going through the exact same cycle every single week? And it's not that you need more discipline or you need more willpower. You actually just need to stop being so aggressive Monday through Friday. Because when you starve yourself through the week, and you arrive at Friday after a long day at work and you've battered yourself all week in the gym, starving yourself, as soon as you get that first taste of a pint, it's game over. Think of it like this. You're holding your breath underwater will only last you so long. And then when you come up for air, you don't just take a little breath, you take a massive gasp to overcompensate from the lack of air which you've got. And that's what your weekends are. A gasp after holding your breath all week. Fix isn't just holding your breath longer, it's not holding it at all. So let me give you 4 things for you to use, because knowing the problem is one thing and knowing what to do about it is another. First thing I want you to do, eat more in the week. That might sound backwards and you might be thinking, no, you know what, I need to lose body fat as quick as possible, I need to have my calories down as low as possible. It's not working, and it's completely wrong, because all that's doing is creating that environment whereby you're restricted in the week, and that's leading to you over-consuming in the weekend. The bigger your deficit is during the week, the harder your body and brain will push back when it comes to the weekend. Hunger hormones all over the place, your energy's in the bin, and your brain just can't stop thinking about that food on the weekend. So instead of running that deficit of maybe 8, 9, 1,000 calories under, which is super aggressive, drop it down. 300, 400, you're still staying in a deficit, but you're just reducing the amount of restriction in which you need to actually lose body fat. You'll have more energy during the week, you won't feel as deprived, you won't feel as need to actually overindulge on the weekend because you've been fed through the week, and you won't arrive at Friday absolutely desperate to eat everything in sight after a hard week at work. It is a slower burn, and it will mean progress is slower, but that's okay, because what's the alternative? You just keep staying in this cycle of just restricting and binging and restricting and binging and never really getting anywhere with your fat loss. The second fix, and this is the one that usually moves the needle forward the most, is plan your weekend. I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself. I'm not saying don't go out and be boring. What I'm saying is having a bit of a thought process before the weekend starts. So if you know you're going out, that means you can plan in advance to understand, right, okay, how many calories do I need to pull back to make sure this is accounted for based on what I'm doing on the week, whether that's food or drinks. The simple framework which I use myself personally on a week-by-week basis is using the rule of 1. okay? If you go out for some beers, that's it. There's no food. If you go out for a meal or you have a takeaway, that's it. There's no beers. It's never both. Something has to give when it comes to losing body fat, because if we're having both at the same time, that's going to lead to a mass overconsumption of calories every single weekend. So in order to actually enjoy your weekends and then not feel guilty for it and shit for it on Monday, just use the rule of one. That will dramatically reduce the calories down if we're having one compared to both. So if you have drank, all you would do after that, go home, no food, next day, bounce back, straight back to your normal calories, and that's it. No guilt, no over restriction, straight back to it. You need to get out of the I've already ruined it mindset, because that is an absolute killer. Because if you have a couple of beers, or if you go out and have a takeaway or a meal out or something, you think in your head, well, I've ruined the weekend already, may as well make it even worse. You've not. One meal, a couple of pints is not a write-off. It's how you respond to that the following day is what matters. Number 3, stop treating your weekend as a different phase of life, because from Friday to Sunday, that is 43% of your week. And that's a lot of progress to just forget about and throw out the window every single week, because you're pretty much going to be operating off 57% if everything is absolutely bang on Monday through, let's say, Thursday evening. I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself, but I'm just saying have a set non-negotiables when it comes to your week and your weekend to make sure that you're making more progress than that 57 and we're not just throwing that 43% out for the sake of it. I would just have a set of non-negotiables on the weekend before you are out. Maybe, for example, you wake up a little bit earlier and make sure you hit your protein. Make sure that you wake up earlier and do some cardio or get a training session in, rather than just assume, oh, you know what, I don't have time, I'm busy. It just takes a little bit of extra thought to actually tick some boxes, whether that is your steps, whether it is your cardio, whether it is your food, whatever it is, have some non-negotiables and promises you make to yourself before you go out, because that means you won't feel as guilty because you've almost earned it that way by doing something, not nothing, before you go out. That might mean getting up earlier on the weekend, and that's okay. It's the sacrifice you're gonna have to make to keep making progress rather than just wasting it for the sake of it. Number 4, do one thing no matter how you feel on the weekend. For me, for example, let's say if I go out for a few beers on a Saturday, wake up Sunday morning a little bit rough, a bit of a sore head, I just make sure that I prep my meals and I build my calendar for the week. 2 things, quite simple, okay? That means that future self, future me, is gonna thank me in the week for making sure I was organized and prepped and ready before the week started. Because what usually happens is you go out for a few beers, okay, you miss your Sunday meal prep, that leads into Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and so on. You're going into the week unorganized, unprepared, head up your arse, and that's what leads to you sabotaging your progress over the week, and then the weekend comes round again. You, it might be getting up and doing some cardio, it might be going to the sauna, it might be going up and getting out for a walk, it might be doing a training session, it might be anything, but just have one set non-negotiable that you do every single weekend, the day after you go out for food, or you have a takeaway, or you go out for some beers. Have that in place, and no matter how you feel, remove the emotions, remove what's going on in your head, and just execute that, because your future self will thank you for it. So the weekend trap isn't about discipline. It's about maths, it's about human psychology, and the fact that no one's ever taught you a middle ground between dieting and completely going off the rails every single week. Shrink your deficit during the week, plan your weekends instead of winging it, be conservative, one or the other, never both, and set one non-negotiable for you to do over the weekend. And that is it. That's how you stop spinning your wheels. That's how you stop wasting 43% of your progress every single week. And that's how you can still have the best of both worlds whilst living your life and actually getting in shape and getting to where you want to be. Yes, progress might be slow if you try to do both at the same time, but that's one of the things you have to accept before you start your journey. If you want to just live under a rock and get in shape, great, it's going to take a shorter amount of time. But if you want to live your life at the same time, go out for beers, go out for food, all these kind of things, except that the timeline is going to have to be longer to account for that. Look, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, you know what, I've tried all this, I've tried to be good on the weekend, I'm trying to be good in the week and just nothing's working, I'm not seeing any results, this is exactly what we do with our clients on a week-by-week basis. Every single time they do a check-in for me at the start of their week, they go, what have we got coming up this week that we need to plan and account for? And what we do then is we put a plan in place specifically based around what they've got coming up, whether that's a weekend away, whether it's a holiday, whether it's a work trip, whether it's a night out with the boys, whether it's a meal out. We make sure we specifically create that plan based around that individual's plans, so they know exactly how to navigate it to keep moving progress forward and what we're going to adjust afterwards if we need to account for it. This is where our coaching bridges the gap, because where most people go wrong is they super restrict, they remove the things they actually enjoy from their life, they have a bad association with fat loss and think, oh, you know what, I can't live my life at the same time, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And 9 times out of 10, when I've seen guys go through this process and actually keep these bits and bobs in their life, this is what actually helps them stay in shape, keep the body fat off, because to get in shape, to get the body they actually wanted from the start, they've not have to completely live under a rock and stop enjoying their life. They've still had bits and bobs across their journey where they actually enjoy themselves and they've still been able to get to where they want to be. And that's why it's so much more rewarding, because we build the lifestyle. All I'll do is I'll leave a link to my one-to-one coaching below. What we'll do is you just fill out your details there. I'll reach out to you directly, get a feel of your goals, your struggles, where you want to get to, and then we can start to map this out and see how your journey would look to get you to where you want to be. Other than that, as always, I'll see you in the next one.